Good afternoon, Ken Jolliffe with BIS Commodities in Cedar Rapids with the Ag Commodity Wrap-Up for June 27th. Looking at the grains for this week, looking at new crop December corn futures down 4 3/4 cents, November bean futures down 3 cents, and the July wheat futures steady for the week. The volume for the week has been pretty slow. We've seen a lot of jockeying around within the prices, within the spreads. The funds that have been long the July futures are being liquidated out, either through outright selling or spread it into the new crop months. We have first notice date coming up on Monday. With that, we've seen a lot of liquidation in this old crop, both corn and beans here for this week. Going into the whole wrap-up for the week, the markets continue to be focused on the upcoming USDA seeding and acreage report and stocks report due out at 11 o'clock here next Monday morning. So a lot of discussion continues to go around on that, on particularly the old crop soybean stocks. As we saw another week of strong export sales in the old crop beans, which produced the sharp rally back on Thursday. We did see a little bit of sell-off here on Friday on some repositioning, but the question still remains, what are our stocks? What type of adjustments is the USDA going to make as far as the stocks? How do we wrap all this around the July S&D report after we see these numbers at 11 on Monday? As far as the acres go, the discussion there this week seems to be of a few firms that are leaning towards lower corn acreage because of the wetness in the northwest belt and higher bean acreage. Give you some thought and numbers on that. Trade going into this report on Monday's looking for an average of 91.7 million acres of corn, which on an average is primarily unchanged from the March 31st ones. So the question to the marketplace again will be, where is the USDA coming out with these type of numbers? We've known in the past, that there's been some drastic differences between, the analyst guesses like this and what the USDA comes out with. The range goes down to about 90 million on the low side to about 92.5 on the top side for the corn. Bean number, the average guess 82.15. The range goes as high as 84 on the top side to as low as 80.5 on the bottom side. Here again, the trade this week, been a lot of whispering discussion through here, that we're going to see more bean acres, here again because of the early wetness and the cold spring that we had. So looking at that number, that's going to be factor number one as we come into to Monday at 11 o'clock. Factor number two naturally is the stocks, as we just discussed, the bean stocks. The average guess there is 378 million. The discussion will be, are we at this level? Are we higher? Are we lower? Just where are we with the old crop stocks? We've been here for the past 6 months, basically chewing apart the bean market with the discussion of the overall historical tightness in the old crop beans. And it appears that is kind of what's really governed this whole bean market as far as when you look at the new crop situation in the soybeans, to where we've been constantly trading between 12 and 12.50 on new beans, even though we have seen a situation of the planting conditions. Once we got going, we're good. The weather's been good. The prospective crop looks good, but we're still holding these higher values in November beans. My assumption is we're holding these higher values in the beans because of the overall question mark is what do we have for old crop stocks. So hopefully we get some type of answer that we can move forward with on Monday. Corn, which is coming into the stocks number, one could assume that maybe we have a little uptick in demand. We've seen the ethanol grind has been very strong here since March 31st. We can go back and say maybe this feed number, which has been a big question mark, all year long. When we go to look at the livestock side of things, yes, we've been down in numbers, but we've also been very high in weight. So maybe we are using, the amount of corn, in the rations, that we've come to believe in, and maybe it's a little bit firmer there too. So maybe a slight downward tick, in the corn stocks for the old side of things. The new crop stocks, once again, governed by the acres. If we hold this level in here of say 91 to 92 million acres, awful lot of chatter around, with the weather conditions we're having, of a lot of 170 type yields being tossed around. Now, I will say that in the past week, particularly out here in the western corn belt, western Iowa, northwest Iowa, southwest Minnesota, northeast Nebraska, we continue to see heavy rains come through that area. A lot of this was easily drained off probably the first part of the week, but the rains have been constantly coming through here the last few days again. Is that when you look at the crop conditions Monday, one could say that maybe the crop conditions in those 3 or 4 states could be down slightly, because of what we're seeing as far as wet feet here right now. What that does for the overall picture when you look at crop conditions, it's a snapshot of a beauty contest. After things have been so good, historically high on a percentage, it's probably very difficult to keep that percentage at that level as you go through the growing season. As I said, it's a snapshot, it's a beauty contest. It's somebody's assumption as you move forward. So kind of wrap up the summary in the grains. It's all about the report coming out at 11 o'clock on Monday from the USDA, giving us the stocks and giving us the acreage. There'll be a very volatile market, as we've seen in the past. There's always a surprise coming somewhere from the government. 5 of the last 7 years, we've seen some drastic moves within this market. We'll see it again, particularly as the computers pick off the headlines, the first few seconds and minutes following the 11 o'clock time frame. So looking at the livestock market, one can say the bulls are still on the run. The feeder market was up another $7.50 this week. Live cattle up another $5 this week. Demand continues to be strong. Prices continue to increase. If we're hearing cash trade somewhere in the 152, 153, maybe as high as 154 here, this afternoon in the cattle side of things. So continues to push the cattle market higher, particularly led by the feeders at this particular time. Hog market, pretty steady for the week. Now, we did have a hog and pigs report here this afternoon at 2 o'clock. Looking at that, the all hogs for June 1st, the average guess 97.1, we came in at 95. Kept for breeding, the average guess 101.8, we came in at even 100. And kept for market, the average guess at 96.8, came in at 95. So looking at the breakdown of the hogs here this afternoon, we could possibly see a little bit of firmness coming into the trade next week, particularly maybe in the deferred months of the hog complex. So a lot of stuff to look at Monday, a lot of things to discuss next week, as this has been a very, very quiet, low volume week as far as the grains. So we'll wrap it up with that here for this particular week. Have yourself a great weekend, and we'll see what happens Monday.